Today we're going to cover Trias, Verasity, and MTV. Welcome back to the cosasverdes crypto and altcoin trading show. This is Tim. Today's Monday, October 11th, 2021. And if you're returning, take a quick second to smash that like, give it a love tap, punch it in the face, whatever you want to do. But also go one step further and leave me a quick comment, emoji, thumbs up. Tim is ugly, LOL, you suck, whatever you want to do. Leave me something down there so I can continue making videos for you. New viewers, here's what my channel does for you. I help you understand if you have a statistical edge on what you're doing when you're clicking around with your money in terms of good time or not a good time. And I help build very, very simple strategies so that you can earn crypto with other people's money with only a couple hours a week. That's what my channel does for you. And you're not going to find other altcoin channels that help you out with that at all, because they're all full of news and project fundamental based videos that do not give you that information in terms of clicking around with your money. So I help complete the triangle of knowledge that you need to have a profitable crypto journey. So if that sounds good, new viewers, you're in for a treat, and let's get this crypto. All right, so I'm going to start off with Trias. Here's why. In my previous videos, remember the word closure? And in my video, I even stopped and repeated closure. Did a candle close above here? No, it didn't. I did make a mistake. I let my community know, hey, it looks like Trias is up and away. But I said it before the closure when I posted to them, just to give them, it's exciting because there are a lot of Trias geeks within my community. So, but it was premature, and that is the importance of a closure. So what is happening now that we didn't get the closure? Okay, so, well, Tim, what does it mean? What does it mean we didn't get a closure? Okay, well, the good thing is the week still closed above my weekly closure line. So everything is still good. So because you did not get in a weekly closure in conjunction with the bullish daily closure, you're just going to have a week delay. What will that week delay look like? Either this week will close somewhere between the two lines, or you're probably just going to close just above. Okay? So it's probably not going to be a big candle either way. So what does that mean? How can you make action with that? Well, here, if you see during this week, midweek, you get a big pump up to 13 bucks on a weekly candle closure, okay? You know that, wait, it's not ready to race up on a weekly scale yet, because it's probably going to have a week delay here because this candle didn't close above. You can't just race, right, until you get candle closures above here. So if you see a race up to 12, 13 bucks, it's possible that taking 10% of your Trias Pokemon cards, selling around that point in full expectation that you'll be able to buy back this line or somewhere close at a big discount, it's pretty high if you think about it on a weekly basis. And if that happens, you'll probably get to move up somewhere between Tuesday to Friday. So it has plenty of time to come back down, right? So because because Trias missed its mark on the daily, but not the weekly, you'll probably have a week of chilling. I would suspect that this next week closes just above. I think it's ready to go. However, what could happen is you could easily get a wick down to the weekly 10 and close right back where you are now. And if you see Trias tanking like that, the inverse of if Trias goes up, taking profits is great. The inverse is knowing that this week will probably close somewhere about where it is now. If you see a huge dip, what does that mean? That is a very statistically sound and very likely good buy opportunity if you're sitting on Tether. That would be a statistically awesome setup to be able to get an asset that's been doing this to buy it below a wick below its weekly 10, which is that red line, 10 EMA. That'd be awesome. So think of Trias like this. This week will probably close somewhere close to where it is now. If you see it scream up midweek, good time to sell 10% to buy back lower of your Pokemon cards only, entertainment only, and education. Conversely, so also with the same mindset, this week is probably going to close somewhere here. So if you see it go way down, that means it's probably going to be a good buy. And you're probably going to close right. So just think of it like that. No matter what happens around Sunday at 8 p.m. New York time, this statistical likelihood of this candle closing somewhere is awesome. It's pretty high. Okay? It's not going to close down here, and it's not going to close up here. Just remember that about Trias. Because we missed the daily closure, that did not go alongside the weekly closure. A pretty good week closure, but you didn't get that bullish daily closure, so you have to wait till next week, most likely. That's all it means, all right? Now, next week, so let's say you have, regardless of the move to the upside or downside midweek, let's say this candle closes somewhere here, maybe even a tiny green week that squeaks just above. There are two things that could happen next week. If this week does squeeze a closeout above this, above what was the daily closure line, if you can close a week above this line this week, then next week can be big. However, if a candle does, so Sunday, right, 8 p.m., if this candle does not close above that line, you're probably going to have one more little candle week. You probably won't have a move to the downside that time if you get a move to the downside this time. But if this week does not close above that line, it's going to be the same concept until you get squeak one out. All right. So, and same thing for that next week. If it comes way up here to $13, it's still probably going to come close on Sunday around the line. And then the next week you get a party. Okay. So whether this happens next week or the week after depends on the closure of this week for Trias. But the absolute most important thing you can remember for Trias this week is it's going to close somewhere close to where it is now, period. With a high level of like a high statistical chance. Could some news come out and then I'm totally wrong? Absolutely. But just in general, that's the most important thing to remember. So any variation from the middle is either a good sell or a good buy, and that's what I'll leave you with the Trias, okay? Very important. So I wanted to spend that much time and just repeat myself and repeat myself and repeat myself, because these are the basic things that if you're going to trade altcoins, right, and really change your life, you can never forget this stuff. You can't do it. And this just showed the perfect example. You got the weekly closure, but you didn't get that bullish daily closure, right? So how that will affect what the next week, the whole 7 days of price action is going to be like, and how you can take action off that. Because if you know, right, if you know it's going to be locked in the middle, you see it fly, sell. If you see it tank, buy, it's going to close right back there, right? So, all right, with a high statistical likelihood. All right, let's go to Veracity. I didn't know that week closed that high. That's kind of impressive. I would not have expected it to close that high. I think it went up a little too high. Yeah, it would have been better if Veracity actually closed closer to that line. Let me make sure I'm not missing something on the monthly. It's going to have to calm down now. You don't just keep going like that. Sorry. Take a sip of my lemon lime with pink rock salt water. Oh, I've been getting into the habit of cutting a lemon and a lime, or a half of each if they're too big. Just washing them first, and then squeezing them, throwing the whole dang thing. I don't know if you can see them floating around in there. You can see the whole dang thing. Just I think it's a half of each right now, and then I put some pink salt, rock salt in it. Three turns in it. It's almost like a delicious lemonade. I've been getting in that habit recently. All right, so Veracity, yeah. I think it went up too fast. I think it's got to come down and test this line, folks. It's a very strong close. I think, I think it has to hit this line. I think it's got to hit 5. I think it's got to hit 5 cents first. Sometimes when you get too bullish of a close. So let's see what that means on a smaller time frame. So now let's look at the 4 hour. All we're going to do. So let's see. Okay, tip. Is that even reasonable? Okay, let's look. How often does price hit the 4 hour 200 EMA, which is this orange line? So let's just go back and see. Because I would suspect, and the 4 hour 200 is kind of a deeper correction. But I think that it's going to wait to hit it when it hits that green line. I bet it hits this. So let's go back in time and look. So he had a nice big pop and he came back down to test it, right? And then it actually lived its life quite a bit above it. Like I said, it is a deeper correction. And this was during the midst of altcoin season that only lasted a couple months. But if you can see prior, you had a big pop up, straight back to it. Right. Big pop up, straight back to it. Right. And your first time, so how long has it been above? Oh yeah, this is its first push above. So usually when you have a first push above, you overshoot it and then come back and you have to ride it for a bit. Or overshoot it, come back and ride it for a bit. And then once you launch from the 200 EMA, you can go up a little higher without such a big correction. But if it's your first time passing it and you do a big push, you're going to come back and hit it. So you can see relatively, this is the first time that price has gotten past the, actually no, it's the second. I apologize. It's the second one. So what's probably going to happen here, it probably won't wick too much below. Came back, rode, dip below, come back. That's only October 20th. So I would say by October 20th, so it already broke, well, this was right. So it did break above 561 by early October. I think I'm going to rewrite in here. I would say, let me make a very specific guess. By October 20th, plus or minus, VRA will hit the 4 hour 200 EMA and then write it a little 5.1 cents. Yep, and so zooming back out, you can see that this is totally reasonable, right? Because it just got above, one big retest, second pump, probably going to come hit it one more time, and that's exactly how Verasity moved last time. Last time you had a big move below the 4 hour 200, move up, went below, another move up, didn't go too far below, just rode it, and then your big move. So let's kind of take a look here, what that would mean. So see, actually, that would hit my date almost exactly, wouldn't it? No, October 24th. Oh, yeah, no, hit it by, that's hitting it by the 17th. And around there. And then it'll probably ride it for a while. So that's how I think Verasity will move. Now, after it completes that, that's when you can get a really big pump, folks. Like this next higher low, it could lead it to a really big, I mean, that would be 5x your money after that. That's why higher lows are awesome. I would prefer to buy a higher low than I would trying to catch a dip any day. Does it feel awesome to catch a dip? Yeah, sure. But higher lows, I mean, you can take those to the bank much, much, much more than you can trying to think you're genius buying a bottom. I know everybody loves to try to buy bottoms, but I'm telling you, it's what matters at the end of the day. Taking money home or not. Because if you want to take money home, higher lows is going to help you do that more often. So yeah, Verasity is looking pretty good. All right. I don't think I am missing anything. on the week, on the month. Yeah, so this month actually might close red. It could close red. I just think it'll close somewhere around here. It might come down and close a doji. On a monthly scale, I'm not for sure how this is going to close. I don't think it's going to close too high. I don't know if it'll be a doji green or a doji red or a small red. But it's probably going to be a very small candle similar to this one I'm lining up there. It's probably going to be similar to that candle, regardless of color. So I would say a doji-ish candle before continuation to the upside is what I would expect. All right, so now let's go to MTV. All right, so I think MTV is simply going to get a squeeze play between the weekly 10 EMA, so I'm on the weekly chart, and this horizontal. Okay. On a daily chart, what that means is I think you could easily have a couple of wicks, similar to how Trias went above its daily line but came back down. I think you can have that. And in general terms, it's just, and then it starts filling out the top side of this range, allowing the weekly 10, which is approaching like this, to catch up. I just think it needs a little bit more time because it did such an aggressive run, and it needs some time. It needs to let that weekly 10 to allow it to form, pour concrete for a basement or to pour concrete for the foundation of a house. Like MTV is pouring its concrete right now. It needs to do this if you want it to go up. You don't want to build on quicksand, right? So I mean, just look at this run. Like this was pretty powerful. Okay, that is 8x. 700% is 8x. 100% is 2x. If you go up 100%, that means you double your money. That's 2x. So you add one. That is an 8x move from very bottom to top. Obviously, you can't catch all that, and you physically couldn't have caught off. If you try to sell more than $100 of this stuff, the orders wouldn't have been filled, right? So this little wick, that means like not very many orders. Not like, a half a human could have sold their MTV there at the top, right? You can't do it. You actually cannot do it. There wasn't enough buy pressure there at all. So you couldn't have done 8x, but still, that's a huge move, right? So now, after an 8x move, you need consolidation. It's pouring concrete. And how do we envision that? The weekly 10. Always go back to the weekly 10. Kind of want to count about 4 weeks is pretty healthy of touching. 4 weeks of touching. Sometimes not. So I typically don't count the first fall down to it. But since it kind of slithered down to it, I will count this first week. I feel comfortable counting that. So we have 1, 2, and this week right here does not count. It's less than a day old. So you only have 2 of my rule of 3 to 4 weeks. So the earliest that this could go, is next week per that rule of thumb. But you just did an 8x. So I would give it a full 4 weeks and then maybe the 5th week. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you close above, and then the 6th week you take off. So I'm really looking for November 1st. That is when you can expect some good stuff to happen for MTV. It just got really hot, folks. Okay, and if you want this to go higher without an 80% or 70% crash, like mid-bull run, before it recovers probably and then picks back up. If you want healthy stuff, you just allow it to pour its concrete. Maybe and if you're somebody with a lot of this, I know that altcoin feel like, oh, I want it to go up, and this and that, checking daily. Just take a break from it. It's not going to go anywhere for a while, I'm telling you. And so sometimes taking a break would allow you to to do more research on your next play. But I probably wouldn't be looking at MTV price that often. It's going to stay steady for a while. Okay. And you might just look back on a weekly scale, and if a weekly closes above that line and then the next begins, okay, that's maybe when I would start looking at MTV price, potentially daily if I'm heavily into it. But yeah, I mean, that's just what you got. You have a weekly formation happening, and it needs to play out. And if it doesn't play out because there's some news, guess what's going to happen? Yeah, it could fly up, but it's going to come straight back down to test that line, I'm telling you. That's exactly what would happen with a very, very high probability if it were to take off. So it's similar to like shaking up a Coke. I'm saying pouring concrete one way, but it's like shaking up a Coke. This is the lid. See that lid there? Okay, if you take off that lid and you let the gas out, you're not going to have built up much pressure. So you want to keep shaking it, and then just barely peek off that lid at the end so it goes, right? So you want to build up that pressure and then strategically take off that lid so it comes out more like steam or whatever, right? Not like a Coke lid, but like imagine a pot or whatever. You want to just barely let out that pot lid so your Coke is just going bam right up that spigot. You want to make a spigot of explosion. Spigot of explosion, and you can't do that if you just go up. That's like, you know, cutting off the cap and just letting all the pressure out. Now you could get a little, you know, a little type of deal, but it'd be over in a second, right? So if you cut off the whole cap of a bottle after you shake it, it won't go up for very long. But if you could get all that pressure and put a pinhole size inside of a Coke, well, that stream, how long will that go? A heck of a lot longer. So that's what's happening with MTV. Take your time on MTV. I know there are a lot of big fans of it out there. Just, this is the perfect time to take a break from looking at the price of it, okay? I'm telling you. Just look back November 1st and see where we're at, because you're probably not going to be very far from that line. 20 days. You're not going to be far from that line, I'm telling you. And if you do, you're going to come back down and hit it. So that's what I got. So if you like what you saw here today and you're new, go ahead and subscribe. Hit the bell so you can stay in the know, so you know what roughly is happening with a better statistical edge when you're clicking around with your money, because you're not going to get that information on altcoins anywhere else. And if you're returning, smash that like, punch it in the face, help out the algo, leave me a comment. Y'all just got simplified.